Good morning. I'll give you my membership number A3549. My presentation is on the ocular coherence tomography angiography analysis of moderate primary open-angle glaucoma, its correlation with RNFL, ganglion cell loss, as well as visual field effects. No financial interest. The aim and objective was to correlate and compare findings of OCT angiography, which is non-invasive, in patients with open-angle glaucoma, with RNFL thickness, GCC count, visual fields, and compare it with a group of controls. The objective was to determine the strength of correlation between reduced disc vasculature, RNFL, and retinal ganglion cell loss in glaucoma patients, that is primary open-angle glaucoma. Study design was observational cross-sectional study. The sample size was 37 eyes of POAG and a control of 27. Study tools were as following: the Octa by OptiView, Zeiss Humphrey field analyzer, and the regular slit lamp 90D gonio lens, and so on and so forth. Inclusion criteria were the open-angle glaucoma patients had to fulfill the criteria of ICD-10 classification of moderate POAG to be included in. Age has to be over 35 years, visual acuity correctable to 612 or better, clear media allowing accurate testing. Exclusion was angle closure glaucoma, pre-existing retinal pathologies, media opacities, axial myopia of more than 5 diopters, history of trauma inflammation. Ethics committee concurrence was obtained, informed consent was obtained for all of these patients. POAG's patients had open-angle glaucoma, open angles on gonioscopy and glaucomatous changes on ONH examination, IOP over 21 millimeters of mercury or suspicious field effects. Scan protocols, the scans were taken as I mentioned over the RT-view. After complete dilatation, Octa scans were taken to get the vasculature as well as RNFL and GCC counts. This is a typical result where you would see a normal values of vasculature around the disc. The OCT angiography were recorded and the perfusion was checked or compared with the superior, inferior, nasal and temporal. Results were tabulated and correlated, and findings of RNFL thickness also were correlated, superior, inferior, nasal and temporal. The findings of GCC analysis also were recorded as average GCC, superior and inferior, and the results were tabulated and correlated with data of RNFL and OCT angio with respect to quadrants. This is a typical picture to show an inferior vasculature loss and another one to show superior and inferior vasculature loss in a glaucoma patient. Analysis was done to compare the correlation with RNFL segments with respective segments of vascular density using Spearman rank correlation coefficient. A comparative analysis was done with the two groups for each quadrant of the optic nerve for both RNFL, OCT angio density using the Mann-Whitney U test. The comparison we have done first is that between the glaucoma and the normal group. So perivascular density, when we compare it with the normal and glaucoma groups, perivascular density was very much definitely significantly, statistically significantly lesser in the glaucoma group compared to the normal groups. So this substantiates that in the glaucoma group, perivascular density definitely is a drop. When you compare it to RNFL with the glaucoma and the normal, naturally we expect that the RNFL definitely showed statistically significant loss or lower counts in the glaucoma group versus the normal group. When you looked at the density between the peripapillary, the whole disc, as well as the inside of the disc alone, the peripapillary of the whole disc showed more correlation than the inside the disc values, but that also was significant. When you compare the ganglion cell count between the normal and glaucoma groups, as expected, the glaucoma groups definitely had lower glaucoma GC cell counts. Now we come to comparing the vessel density and RFL density and correlating both. So in the glaucoma group, the peripapillary vessel density and the RNFL correlated. Where the RNFL was thinner, the peripapillary vessel density also was lower. It was most significant in the superior and the temporal, and still highly significant both in the inferior and the nasal too. But the highest significance was in the superior and temporal. So all glaucoma patients who had loss of RNFL also definitely in the same segments had loss of vasculature. Correlation between the vessel density and RNFL in the normal group. Wherever the persons had a normal RNFL and no glaucoma, the vessel density was absolutely normal. So again, it proves that the vessel density drops along with RNFL loss. So vessel density versus the normal and the glaucoma group as a bar graph, which is very clearly noticed that in the glaucomatous it is low and in the normal it is normal. This is a patient with an early field defect, and this correlates with the inferior loss of vessel vasculature and the GCC also. So discussion would be that the ganglion cell loss associated with nerve fiber layer thinning occurs in pathophysiology of glaucoma. Though visual fields are the gold standard, GCC and RNFL has been taking over as one of the surrogate markers. The vasculature of the peripapillary area also can be taken as a surrogate marker. This study proves that there is a significant reduction of vasculature peripapillary in all patients who have got RNFL and GCC loss and field loss in open angle glaucoma. So the role of vascular changes occur as a pathophysiology, a part of the glaucoma. Whether this predates or postdates the loss of GCC or RNFL is something that has to be taken up in further studies. The limitation is that the patient has to be cooperative, fixate properly, and the media should be clear enough to get a good picture of the vasculature of the disc. So conclusion is the optic disc vessel density could be a surrogate marker to diagnose and to also follow up on open angle glaucoma. Thank you. These are the references.
Thank you, Dr. Arul, for the nice presentation. Any questions? If no questions, then I request Dr. Sushmita
Thank you.
to present her paper. Dr. Sushmita, please.